see. Is it fair to describe the events of last night or yesterday at the hotel as, at the very least, an unwelcome distraction ahead of such an important match for you?
It's only a distraction. I think that that's all it was. And really, I've made a statement earlier on today. I don't know whether you would have seen it. Hardly seen it myself. So, and I think that there's not really much more I can talk about it. But I think we're fine. I think the players are fine. I think the man in question is fine as well too, and we're ready to go.
Martin, I was just going to ask, how is Roy, and if you have to say anything to him?
No, he's okay. He's actually here with us now. So if we could end the press conference right now, it'd be great because you'll catch him.
Okay.
Did Roy speak to the group after the incident? The squad?
Why would he do that?
About what happened?
No, he spoke to me. That's all that's matter. I don't think Robbie, as captain, was particularly interested in hearing what had happened at that time. I don't think so, anyway. But no, I'll let you speak for yourself. Listen, the incident's over at the moment, and I think that's it. That's it. You mentioned it being a distraction, and that's really it.
In terms of the football, Martin, you've had bad news in the sense that James McCarthy is definitely out, obviously, and Glenn Whelan. I don't know how realistic your hopes of him playing ever were, but clearly losing both of them is a blow, is it?
Well, naturally they are. Glenn has played games for us just recently, hurt himself in Germany, hadn't really done that much training, but was kind of hopeful himself. And the week that he had with us in terms of training was exactly what he would have been doing with Stoke. But just yesterday, he didn't feel as if he had done enough work, to contemplate being chosen for the team. And James, I suppose, really, realistically, possibly was always an outside chance. He has improved immensely since Sunday. In fact, he went for another scan, and the scan is actually quite clear. So that is really good news for the lad. But really, I suppose, since it is a muscle injury, then it was a concern for us that he needed to really probably do something today and see what sort of reaction he had. It was better not to risk him for the length of time. But the scan actually has come up clear, which is good.
Martin, what's it like being back at Celtic Park, and is it a weird experience and you will be in the opposition dugout now?
It will be, I must admit, it will be really strange, to walk into the club and walk right to the away dressing room rather than in left. I said jokingly, I think I actually mean this, I'm not even sure that I ever set foot in the away team dressing room, ever. And no, it will be strange, I must admit. Just after this press conference, I fancy a little walk round,
Gordon was talking about a point earlier that it wouldn't be Celtic Park tomorrow, it was going to be Scotland Park. I want you to know that they're on their territory. You must feel that there is going to be a large volume of Irish fans within the stadium, and that kind of your team can feed off that too.
Well, I think I'm hoping that would be the case. I mean, we had for the couple of games that we've had away from home, the Georgia game, it was amazing just to see a cluster of our fans. I think maybe about 600 fans that we had there. Made a lot of noise for us, helped us through a couple of difficult moments in that game. And then to go to Germany and find I think we had roughly about 2,500 people there. That was just fantastic. And just to share that moment in the last minute of the game with John's goal was terrific. But I think the sort of support that we'll get tomorrow will be great. It'll be vocal. It'll be terrific for us. But I take Gordon's point.
Martin, is there a favourite or an underdog in this match, would you say?
Well, we're away from home for a start, but we think that we can get a result in the game. We think we can win the match. I'm quite sure Gordon thinks as well that they, with the home advantage, that they will be obviously favourites to win. But I don't think that. I think Germany were very, very strong favourites to beat us in the match, and we managed to get something out of that game. So we're going into the game with a lot of confidence anyway.
Is this primarily a must-not-lose, Martin?
Well, they're not. I mean, this is not like a 38 game season. You know, we've got matches every single game is of some significance. I think it'd be too early in the competition to say that. The more points you can accumulate at this early stage, the better. Obviously, when we finish tomorrow night, we will have played three pretty difficult away games, and we'll still be in the hunt regardless. So what we do, I think, in the Aviva Stadium in 2015 will probably determine everything. But of course, it's still a very, very, very significant match tomorrow night.
Martin, with all the hype and anticipation going into this game, is this one of these games where, for you, the issue isn't about getting the players up for a match so much as obviously the opposite, it's making sure people's feet are on the ground and that they're disciplined despite what we feel about?
I think that's a very fair point. I really do. I think the players are ready for the game, have been for some time. I think the same would apply to the Scottish players. So it is very much a case of having some discipline about ourselves, because we'll have a better chance if we keep the players on the field.
You've obviously had some good days in green, white, shirts there at Celtic Park. Do you feel as a striker, does it help you when you're coming to the ground you're so familiar with?
In the past that has helped me, so I'm hoping if I get the opportunity tomorrow that will be the case as well. So I mean, certainly don't go into games, you know, thinking that, but you know, in the past I've been very, very lucky that you know, I've scored a few on certain grounds that I've been at before. So I'm certainly hoping that would be the case tomorrow if I get the opportunity.
There's a lot of players in the squad, Robbie, that are used to the stadium. How beneficial will that be?
I don't know. I think it's the same for, you know, clearly the same for both teams. You know, there's a lot of players that played here on numerous occasions, and obviously the Scottish players have. So I'm not too sure, to be totally honest with you. I think it's fairly equal for, you know, for both teams. And one thing I can say, I know there's players that haven't played here before that is excited to play. And I think, as you mentioned before, about, you know, keeping the players' feet, you know, firmly on the ground and not get too excited. We know exactly what we have to do and the job we have to do, and certainly everybody is looking forward to now. These are the games that players want to be involved in. These are the games, and we haven't had a, you know, competitive game like this against a rivalry for, you know, for a while. So it's certainly exciting.
There's a lot of talk about.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, that's something that we're obviously going to try and aim to do, and you know, so far, you know, it's gone, you know, fantastically well. But it's important now that, you know, we keep that going, and, you know, certainly against, you know, a team that is very, very strong, and, you know, have a good feeling about them at the moment. But, you know, so do we. So it's important that we keep that going. Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about booing and the treatment Aidan McGeady will receive. But do good players relish that? Do they play better? Do they live up to
I think so, yeah. Certainly from my experience anyway. It's something that you quite enjoy. And knowing Aidan as I do, I don't think it will affect him, you know, too much. I'm sure he'll rise to the occasion like he has done, you know, for the last few games. And Aidan's been here for a few years with Celtic, and was a great player for them, so I know he's excited to come back, but I don't think that affects him too much, that what people say or whether the crowd are going to boo him, which I'm sure they will, but I'm sure they enjoy that.
Neil?
Martin, Darren Gibson's only played, I think, a League Cup game and a Europa League game for Everton, and obviously one game since the injury. Is he up to speed for a game like this where it's likely to be quite a dramatic pace?
Well, if he's chosen the game, then he'll have to be up for it. You know, we can't do anything about that. That's always going to be the case with us, that we might have one or two players who are important for us that might not have played that much at club level. I'm not so sure that Darren has started a league game, but if he's chosen the team, then he knows what he has to do. Whether he lasts the game or not might be something else. But he's got some game time on Sunday when Gareth Barry was injured, so that helps anyway.
At a prep preparations for this game any different in terms of work with the players, and they're so familiar with the opposite team, the personalities of the players on the other side?
Well, I think it helps immensely, really, if you are familiar with the opposition, and that is certainly the case now. The players here that we have played against the Scottish players on numerous occasions. They would know plenty about them, and vice versa, of course. But in terms of preparation, you still want it roughly to be the same type of preparation, the same thoroughness. But if the players are knowledgeable of what the other players can do, then it must have some sort of benefit, I think.
Paul?
The relative late loss of those two central midfield players, will that affect your approach?
Sorry?
The loss of the two central midfielders so late in the week, will that affect your approach?
Well, naturally, I've been thinking about it for some time anyway, and there was always the possibility. I got a call late on last week with Glenn, thinking that he might be coming, when I probably ruled him out anyway. And of course, the loss of James McCarthy is something that you felt on Sunday, that some players might take a knock or might get injured. But really, we've been thinking about it now for the last couple of days, working in the assumption that they might not make it.
Damien?
I think you know Stephen Fletcher well. How does it bring up his form, and what kind of effect did he do?
Well, Stephen's a very good player, and I signed him for Sunderland, and he is. My own view was that he was instrumental. His goals were instrumental in keeping the side up, as well as Simon Mignolet's performances in goal. So the two of them can take great credit for that. But he's had a few injury problems. Was injured for Scotland at the back end of that particular season, and he's fought his way back. So he's in very good form at the moment.
Gentlemen, back to TV3.
Robbie, how's your own fitness heading into this game? And secondly, with Shane Long and John Walters scored recently, your position is under report, right?
I scored on Sunday as well. Fine. I had a bit of an issue after the Germany game. Strained my hamstring, but I missed one of the games and came back. But not the last this 4 or 5 days training has been good. Played 90 minutes on Sunday, so no issues.
Would think that Long and Walters are scoring to finish most of it.
Of course, it's important for every player and every striker to be scoring goals. So it's only gonna help the team, and who plays or players will be called upon. It's important that they're scoring at club level, because it gives them confidence going into the game.
Mark, is it the kind of game where maybe you could tweak formation, possibly take 2 up front?
I mean, that's always possible, absolutely. And I think during the course of the game, I think you'll always be thinking about maybe changing it. If things are going well, then maybe leave well alone. But if things are not going so cleverly, then I think there are plenty of options. And I think that in terms of the personnel, there are options as well for different positions for players to play in, as long as they're reasonably used to doing that.
Martin, we've spoken recently last year about Jeff Hendrick.
Mm-hmm.
You really rate him highly in terms of his potential.
Mm-hmm.
If, because of the changes you're going to have to make, if he is to be in from the start of this game, is it as risky as the experience to deal with, quite apart from his talent in his game?
Well, he's a talented player, and every single week he plays for Derby County, he's getting more experience. But these games, I think these type of matches here will test even the most experienced players. They'll still have a nervousness about them, and sometimes games like this, remarkably, the irony of it all is that maybe some young players step through it and just dismiss the nervousness and just fly through the game. But this is it's a big game for everyone, regardless of the number of times that they play for the country.
Robbie, you played in many top venues, but the scoring goals here give you that extra special feeling, and would it be the same tomorrow night if you look to do?
Well, I certainly hope that's the case. I mean, scoring goals when you're a striker, no matter where you are, you get that exciting feeling. But certainly, growing up and watching Celtic, and then having the privilege to play here, and then managed to score a few goals while I was here was extra special. So of course it would be nice if that was the case tomorrow.
Probably would be fair to say if you were to score Ireland to win, would be your best moment at Parkhead.
Well, if that was the case, I mean, it'd certainly be up there, but that's very hard to predict that now. But if that was the case, of course you'd be delighted. The most important thing for me is winning the game and getting the 3 points regardless who scores.
What were your fondest memories of these two games?
Sorry?
What were your fondest memories of these two games?
Honestly, the whole experience of it, coming from London and getting off that plane and coming to Celtic Park, and there's 5,000 people there, was one of the best feelings I think you could ever get as a player, and just walking out in Celtic Park and putting that green and white jersey, and start to finish for me, the experience was great, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Martin, what have you made of Scotland and how they've started their campaign?
Well, Scotland have been on a good run, and Gordon has certainly got some momentum behind him, behind the team, behind the country, and so they're doing very well, very well. Did exceptionally well against Germany in the second half. He might have thought the game might have been beyond him before that, but they fought back strongly, and might even have been unlucky not to have got something out of the game. Followed that up with a must-win, I suppose, against Georgia, and a great result in Poland. So so far the games have augured well for them.
Martin, have you anything up your sleeve tomorrow for Aidan McGeady? You pulled a rabbit out of the hat there in Germany, and you played with that advanced role in midfield, and your hat was contribution. Can we expect to see him on the wing tomorrow, or did you give us some indication?
No, I'm not going to give you any indication today. There's too many Scottish supporters in here, But come to my room tonight. Philip, absolutely. Please, 12:15.
I won't be there.
Robbie, what do you think of Scott Brown as both a personality and as an opponent tomorrow night?
Yeah, he was. When I was here, he was brilliant. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he gives everything he has for, certainly for Celtic and his country, and that's clear to see when you see him playing. So I'm sure that will be no different tomorrow. He'll be the same Scott that I know, going around kicking people, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's a good football player. He plays, but he doesn't mind the tackle. So it'll be interesting to play against him tomorrow. But off the field, he's a great lad, good lad to have around the dressing room. And as I said, when I was here, he was brilliant.
Neil.
With Mark Wilson absent, whoever comes in is going to be relatively inexperienced at international level. Is there a big onus in that instance for John O'Shea to lead them through the game?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that John naturally has that experience. He's 100 times for us. So I'm hoping that whoever plays alongside him, that he will be able to guide him through the game, help him a lot. I think that young Wilson has benefited from that. I'm hoping it's going to be the same tomorrow night.
There's
Aidan.
a lot of talk about Irish fans getting tickets to the Scottish end. Do you think there's a possibility this could be like one of these New York moments in World Cup '94, where City one of those kind of nights, or afternoons, whatever you call it?
I'd imagine there'd be a lot of Irish supporters around the stadium. There's no question about that. We just hope that there's no trouble and everyone behaves himself, which the Irish fans over the years have always been fantastic, and I'm sure that'll be no different tomorrow.
Aidan.
Martin mentioned discipline earlier on. Scott Brown today said it's going to be required an hour. As captain, is that a role for you? Do you need to maybe talk to some lads beforehand and calm them down and warn what it's going to be like at work?
That's experienced players that, certainly. I mean, you'll notice yourself, before the game if people are, certainly getting too excited, but forgetting that we've got a lot of experienced players that played, a lot of games for the country and for club level. So, but with the atmosphere and the importance of this game and the rivalry of both teams, I'm sure at times that will be the case, but as I said, it's up to certainly the senior players, to get around the players and make sure that you don't get too overwhelmed by the situation.
Neil, and last 3 questions then after.
Martin, the 2 games last month were arguably James McLean's best games for Ireland. A lot of people from Celtic dealt with an issue last week with the maturity. Do you sort of sense that there's a greater sense of responsibility from him and he's beginning to sort of deliver on his potential for Ireland?
Oh, very much so. I see that. I see a little change in him now, certainly over the last couple of months, and certainly with working with him. I think he has that. I think that he has definitely matured with a little bit of age, and yet he retains a great zest for the game. You see that in training every single day. He's chasing lost causes. Again, just that total enthusiasm he has for the game, and but it is pleasing to see him doing so well for us.
Martin, for all your professional experience as a manager, is there a part of you that responds to a game like this in the way that a fan does? Is there a part of you that kind of fully appreciates the emotional aspect of it and why everybody seems so hyped up?
Absolutely. I think that I think my experiences at Celtic would just reiterate that. It would be exactly that. It's how you feel about how the fans feel about the games, and if you've lived here in Glasgow for a couple of years, either Celtic or Rangers, I think you would appreciate that. Absolutely, very, very much so.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks.